Hey guys, what is going on? This is Wrestlelamia, back with another episode. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the 11th September episode of Smackdown, as well as the wildest wrestling news and stories you need to know, including Jeff Hardy's goal for a match with The Fiend, is the Demon dead, Miro's costly clothes, Ronda Rousey training for a comeback, and more. As always, Wrestlelamia won't recap the show, but provide you with the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. The good, the possession of Alexa Bliss. The latest installment of the possession of Alexa Bliss continued this week, with Lexi hitting a textbook Sister Abigail on her BFF Nikki Cross and then walking off from a fatal four-way match. What is the strange hold The Fiend has on Alexa Bliss? It's an intriguing question that's turned Smackdown into must-see TV as fans tune in to see the latest development into Bliss's dark descent into depravity. The WWE isn't good at long-term storytelling, but this plot has been advanced masterfully and could become one of WWE's greatest storylines if it continues. Roman Reigns time. Roman Reigns' timing seems to be off. No, Wrestlelamia isn't talking about his in-ring work, which doesn't seem to have lost anything during his self-imposed quarantine from WWE. Instead, we're talking about his new heelish persona, where he comes and goes as he pleases, as seen during his tag team match with Jey Uso against King Corbin and Sheamus. Jey handled way too much of the match early on until Reigns finally showed up. Was the self-appointed tribal chief late, or does he have his own personal time schedule? Whatever the case, it's an interesting development and quirk that the WWE should play up in the future. Bayley's heel act reaches new heights. While the Golden Role Model storyline had its flaws, including taking too long to develop and monopolizing every women's championship between Sasha Banks and Bayley, few fans would argue that the storyline hasn't made Bayley into an even better heel than she was before it began. Bayley's career has enjoyed a remarkable renaissance as she made the jump from floundering face to hellacious heel, showcasing a sinister side fans probably doubted the former hugger could pull off. Wobbly Walrus. Well, there are a few haters who can't stand the Firefly Funhouse. You know who you are. Many members of the WWE Universe have fallen in love with Bray Wyatt's kooky kids show, where he advances his storylines with the help of his off-the-wall characters such as Ramblin' Rabbit and Mercy the Buzzard. Now fans can add Wobbly Walrus to the mix, as Vince wants to restore some stability to the Firefly Funhouse. Wobbly has an uncanny resemblance to Roman Reigns' mouthpiece Paul Heyman, so it should be fun to see how Wobbly advances the inevitable clash between The Fiend and Roman Reigns. The Firefly Funhouse continues to be a consistently entertaining feature on SmackDown, and Wobbly may add to the fun even further. Dehydrated Jeff. Did Jeff Hardy pass out from dehydration during the latest SmackDown? The WWE says no, and in case you're wondering, the entire situation seems to be the WWE's way of mocking AEW's All Out match, where Matt Hardy did in fact pass out during his match against Sammy Guevara. Whether or not anyone but the most hardcore of fans got the joke is unknown, but you can be sure Mr. McMahon was laughing, and as usual, that's all that matters in his mind. The bad. Otis's sinking star. The WWE has dropped the ball with Otis, with his character going from an unlikely boyfriend for Mandy Rose and Money in the Bank winner to an afterthought on SmackDown. If the rumors are true, the WWE had planned on putting the Universal Championship on King Corbin and later having Otis cash in his briefcase. With plans changed, it seems the WWE has no idea what it wants to do with the big man, and it's a shame because Otis still has the same qualities that made him popular. An odd mix of charisma, athleticism, and a square peg in a round hole quality. With any luck, Otis's career won't go the way of other failed Money in the Bank winners, such as Damien Sandow and Baron Corbin. Flop 4-Way. The fatal 4-Way to determine Bayley's opponent at Clash of Champions was a dud of a match that saw Tamina and Lacey Evans at their worst, and largely served to advance Alexa Bliss's possession storyline. Lacey Evans is a good wrestler who has grown over the last year, but her and Tamina had a bad night, which made for a bad match. The Downright Ugly. Another good episode of SmackDown. Although the show lacked any major shocks like Roman Reigns aligning himself with Paul Heyman, there was still plenty of segments driving storylines forward, as well as some decent matches. SmackDown continues to entertain, and while it has room to improve, it is the best show on WWE right now. News: Miro's costly clothes. Miro was living large when he debuted on the 9th September Dynamite, sporting some expensive threads. According to a breakdown by Twitter user @TigerDriver9X, Miro's designer Gucci outfit is worth over $2,000, with a $650 Mickey Mouse shirt, $1,450 jogging pants, and $220 Adidas Yeezy Boost 350 sneakers. Looks like that Tony Khan money is already being spent. Jeff Hardy wants to be Willow. Current Intercontinental Champion Jeff Hardy has his hands full dealing with challenges from previous champions Sami Zayn and AJ Styles, but wrestling's charismatic enigma is also looking ahead to a possible match with The Fiend. Hardy spoke with BT Sport recently and discussed how he might bring back his old character Willow. "Years ago I used to be Jeff Hardy, and then I'd be this guy called Willow. Willow was kind of my go-to wrestling persona. That's another dream of mine before I'm done. I want to bring Willow into the WWE Universe and see what could happen. I just have a strange feeling that something crazy cool could happen between Willow and The Fiend." Sounds like a great way for WWE to entice Hardy to stay in WWE by promising him a run against The Fiend. Ronda Rousey training for a comeback? Is Ronda Rousey training for a comeback? Some fans are pointing to recent social media posts showing the baddest woman on the planet training Rowdy Roddy Piper's daughter Ariel Toombs in the ring as proof that Rousey is on her way back to the WWE. Toombs is back in training after a 6-month layoff due to ACL and meniscus reconstruction, and while it's possible that Rousey is merely helping with Toombs' training, fans can't help but hope that Ronda is preparing to return to WWE, where she hasn't worked since WrestleMania 35. Wrestlelamia thinks it's wishful thinking to expect Rousey back anytime soon, but as Survivor Series approaches, that could change. Smackdown Mystery Woman revealed? It appears that the rumors of the Smackdown Mystery Woman being Carmella are all but confirmed. You may recall that Ringside News exclusively reported that the woman's identity is Carmella, although it did make the caveat that WWE likes to swerve its fans by feeding false information to its staff. However, you can always count on the eagle-eyed members of the WWE Universe to spot clues during videos, and several posted clues suggesting that Carmella is the mystery woman. Here's what Ringside News' Felix Upton had to say. "They have the same tattoo on their arm. Yes, Carmella has tattoos on her feet, but it's totally possible to cover them up. Someone apparently missed the tattoo on her arm because it was in full view this week on SmackDown. It's viewable in the opening seconds of this week's video." Carmella hasn't done much since winning the SmackDown Women's Championship in 2016, and apparently the WWE is hoping to jumpstart her career again, so fans start saying Mella is money again instead of Mella who. AJ Styles says he'll never wrestle CM Punk. While it's unknown whether CM Punk will ever return to a WWE ring, one wrestler he won't be facing is AJ Styles. During a recent Twitch stream, the Phenomenal One was asked whether he'd ever wrestle Punk. Styles replied, "Nope, that'll never happen. I don't have to go into detail about that one. I think it's pretty obvious where things stand. I'm not a fan." Styles and Punk have had heat for several years, and things intensified this year when Punk criticized Styles for not commenting on the Black Lives Matter movement. As noted in a previous video, Styles has said he'd like to be Triple H's opponent when the game retires. Is the Demon dead? Is Finn Balor's otherworldly alter ego, the Demon, dead? That's one takeaway fans had when Balor was interviewed not too long ago, but recent comments from the current NXT champion suggest the Demon isn't dead but dormant. Speaking with digital spy Stephanie Chase about his recent NXT championship win, Balor talked about how the Demon character took on an unwanted life of its own. "I feel like the Demon was supposed to be a one-off in Tokyo Dome, Japan, and it grew into this completely separate entity that for some time I had control over, and then eventually it kind of spun out of control." Balor thinks the Demon became a crutch, but the character isn't dead. "It's definitely not dead and buried. I feel like there's a time and place for everything, but right now I feel like the Demon character is something that would maybe be a step in the wrong direction for what I've done over the last 11 months in NXT. So when should fans expect to see the Demon return?" Finn teased some fantastic future bouts. So there will be a time and a place where we get the Demon vs. Bray Wyatt, where we get the Demon vs. Braun Strowman, where we get the Demon vs. Brock Lesnar, but right now, I'm interested in defending the NXT Championship. Balor even teased that fans might see another character besides the Demon, something that will have Finn's fans talking about. Do you miss the Demon? Let us know in the comments below. Well guys, there you have it, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly from the 11th September Smackdown, along with the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know in wrestling. What did you think of these stories and rumors? Be sure to leave your comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time for some more wrestling content.